Hello, I'm Susan McCrossan and this is my book, Breaking the Learning Barrier. Hello, it's Susan here. So the other interesting things about being ADD or having low access to logic is that you have trouble keeping attention over time. Logic gives the concept of time, and until that starts to come online, you don't understand later, right? So backing out of the driveway, you got them in the car. Are we nearly there yet? This is the child, and in a very young child you'd expect that because they don't understand. It's either now or not now. And so if they want the thing now and you say you can have it later, on comes the meltdown because they're well in touch with their feelings. The Gestalt brain is totally where the feelings come from. So they're into a meltdown, you produce something to distract them and suddenly they're out of it again. It's not like they're faking it. This is how they felt in that moment, and they only know the moment, now and not now. So the idea, of course, is to distract them. But as they get older, that gets a little impractical. You know, the meltdown in the supermarket where they put all the candies near the checkout. So of course the child wants to. So there's no point in rationalising with that. I've had a few parents do a couple of creative things. You know, one was you can have them on Saturdays. They didn't actually go shopping on Saturdays, but the children didn't know that. And so she wasn't saying no forever. It was just you could have them on Saturdays, and those children, apparently that worked quite well for. And then I did have another mother whose child was doing the total tantrum on the floor, you know, arms, legs, total meltdown. Everybody's looking at them in safe ways. And she just turns to the child and says, "Don't worry, honey, Mummy will be home later," and pretends that it's not her child. Children who don't develop logic when they should become emotionally behind their peers, and so they have trouble making friends with same-age children or same-age people. You see it with adults too. They have trouble making friends with people who are not like them, right? So as they get a little older, they have younger and younger friends, and if it's the eldest male, which is probably the commonest child that I see in the family, and there's a second child that's a few years younger, they often make friends with the siblings' friends because they're not mature enough, they behave what seems babyish to everybody else who is developing, and yes, they get left behind, and it's hard for them to form relationships. And some, you know, you get the other type that's kind of really nerdy and well in touch with being able to work with computers or the analytical, that side, but they're not in touch with the feelings. So they're the kind of people that are happy just sitting in front of a computer working all day and not really having to communicate with others, and they prefer not to. And they might have one or two friends, but they prefer to just avoid social functions and things where they feel uncomfortable and people, you know, they've got a history in the past of people not reacting to them well or whatever in some way. So as Crossinology, once you give people the access to both sides, so there's this logical person and you give them access to the creative side, then they can pick up more on what's going on in the conversation. While logic is the domain of language, Gestalt, the creative side, is the domain of intonation and nuance, and so the subtleties of the language. And so it's often, you know, it's been said with studies that men will speak more plainly to each other than women do, and then if there's a couple and they're speaking to another man and the other man says no, the man of the couple will say, well, he said no, so he means no. Whereas the woman will say, he said no, but I don't think he really meant that. I think, so she'll be picking up some other intonation, nuance, subtle type thing, and I'm broadly generalizing, of course. And once you open up those two sides, they become more social. One client I worked on, adult woman, said that after I'd finished her, that her friends told her she was much more present when they were speaking to her now, that she always seemed kind of spacey. And she had no idea that she seemed that way, because if that's the way you've always been, that seems normal. So yeah, she was much more present and more interesting as far as they were concerned, because she followed the conversation better.